So, first and foremost, we are going to review some codes of ethics, which are highlighted in Model Rules, Section 240.15, Rules of Professional Conduct. And most of the stuff is pretty self explanatory, and they're easy to go by if you are an honest and truthful person. So, the first thing that is highlighted is engineering is technically considered a profession rather than an occupation, and with that said, they are regulated by ethical standards. Licensees' obligation to society is that their services uh, put the public's welfare first. Licensees should approve and seal only design documents and surveys that are accepted by engineering standards and do their best to safeguard the life, health, property, and welfare of public. Licensees should notify their employers whenever the life, health, property, or welfare of public is in danger. Licensees should be objective and truthful in all professional reports, statements, or testimony. Licensees shall share their professional opinion only when they have gathered adequate information and have evaluated the subject matter competently. Licensees shall issue no statements or criticism on technical matters which are inspired by an interested party unless that party specifically asks you to speak on their behalf. This is an important one. Licensees shouldn't get involved in illegal or dishonest activities that puts their name and their company in danger of bad reputation. And with that said, licensees having knowledge of these rules of professional conduct can provide your company's board with necessary information to make final decisions regarding violations. So, your obligation to an employer and clients is that you should only undertake assignments only when you are qualified by education or experience in that specific technical field of engineering or surveying involved. Another obligation is that you shouldn't put your signature on any seals or plans or documents dealing with subject matter in which you don't quite understand, or a document or whatnot that wasn't prepared under your direct control or your personal supervision. Another obligation is that you may accept assignments for coordination of an entire project, but only if each segment of that project is signed and sealed by licensee responsible for that specific segment. Another obligation is that licensees should not reveal facts, data, or information obtained without the prior consent of the client or employer, except if it's violating a law and you are required by law to reveal that information. And also, you shouldn't accept gratuities directly or indirectly from contractors, their agents, or other parties in connection with work for employers or clients. Now, it's important to disclose any potential conflict of interest which could influence or appear to influence the judgment or quality of service. Another important thing is that licensees shouldn't accept compensation or any type of financial income from more than one party for servicing the same project, unless all parties are aware and you disclose that ahead of time. If you are part of a governmental body, and let's say someone from your company serves as a principal or officer in that organization, you are not to accept a professional contract from them, and vice versa. If you are part of that body, you should not be doing that. So here it's your obligation to other licensees, and you shouldn't falsify or permit misrepresentation of, let's say, their qualifications. Pretty much, you're not supposed to throw them under the bus, and you're not to exaggerate their degree of responsibility in prior assignments, nor the complexity. You're not to say you're above them or below them or whatnot. You aren't to receive or accept any gifts or commission in consideration to secure work, and you aren't to make any political contribution with the intent to influence the award of a contract by public authority. And also, you aren't to injure falsely, directly or indirectly, the professional reputation, prospects, practice, or employment of other licensees, nor to criticize their work. So, safety is the condition of protecting people from threats or failures that could harm their physical, emotional, occupational, psychological, or financial being. Safety is also the control of known threats to attain an acceptable level of risk. The U.S. adheres to public codes of standards, engineering designs, and corporate policies to ensure that a structure or place does what it should to maintain a steady state of safety. So, a traditional preventive approach to both accidents and occupational illness involves recognizing, evaluating, and controlling hazards and work conditions that may cause physical or other injuries. Hazard is the capacity to cause harm. Risk is the chance or probability that a person will experience harm and is not the same as hazard. The equation for risk is hazard times probability. Also, another equation is risk equals hazard times exposure. So there's a good amount of stuff for safety in the reference handbook, but I'm going to go over this diamond because you'll most likely see this at work, so it's good to go over this. So position A is the health hazard, which is usually in a blue color, and it would be numbered from 0 through 4, 0 being normal material, 1 slightly hazardous, 2 hazardous, 3 extremely dangerous, and 4 deadly. Position B is flammability, and it would be in red. 0 for will not burn, 1 for will ignite if preheated, 2 for will ignite if moderately heated, 3 will ignite at most ambient temperature, and 4 for burns readily at ambient conditions. Position C is reactivity, and it would be in yellow. 0 for stable and not reactive with water, 1 for unstable if heated, 2 for violent chemical change, 3 for shock short may detonate, and 4 for may detonate. Position D is usually in white. This means it is alkali. This means it's an oxidizer. This is self-explanatory, it's acid. If you see COR, it means corrosive. This sign W with a line through it means use no water. And this logo means radiation hazard. So this question says that you were a professional engineer and you were licensed originally many years ago, and you are just asked to evaluate a newly developed computerized control system for a public transportation system. And it's asking you should accept this project if A, B, C, or D. If you look at D is just saying you attended meetings, so not really. B says you don't live in the jurisdiction where the transportation system is being installed. Not so much. So the real answers that you should go by is A or C. C, because you got your license many years ago, you might have forgotten, so C doesn't really make sense here. So your best answer here would be A, where you are competent in the area of modern control systems, since it is a newly developed computerized control system. So this question says that you're a student and you have an interview with a company, and just before you fly out to them, you get another call from a second company to go to their interview in the same city. But then you tell that second company that you already have an interview, and so they tell you to just stop by after. This first company has already paid for your airfare, and at the end of that interview, you get in reimbursement forms for the balance of your trip expenses, and with instructions to file for all your trip expenses. So when you inform them that you have another interview with that second company, they tell you to go ahead and charge the entire cost of the trip to that first company. So then you go to your second company, and at the end of that, they also give you travel reimbursement forms with instructions to file for all your trip expenses. So when you tell them the instructions you got from the first company, they tell you that only expenses requiring receipts are airfare and hotel rooms. So you should still file for all other expenses with them, even if the first company is paying for it, because students always need a little bit of money. So here you got to use your ethics. Which one do you choose? File for travel expenses with only one firm. This would probably be at a loss. Do as both recruiting officers told you. It is their money and their travel policies. This one kind of sounds wrong. It's not ethical. Try to divide the expenses between both firms as best as you can. Yeah, that seems fair. You want to go with what's fair, really, or tell all of your classmates to sign up to interview with these firms for the trips. So that one's kind of like no. So here, C makes the most sense and is the most ethical thing to do. Here it's saying an engineer testifying as an expert witness in a product liability case should A, B, C, or D. Avoid answering questions from the opposing attorney. No, you should be truthful. Provide a complete and objective analysis within his or her area of competence. That sounds about right if you look in the ethics section. Provide an evaluation of the character of the defendant. No. Provide information on the professional background of the defendant. No, you should not ever put down somebody else if it's going to ruin their reputation or whatnot. In this question, it says an engineer judges that a design poses a threat to human life and recommends to management that the design must be modified. The manager, who is not an engineer, overrules the recommendation. According to the model rules, the engineer must A, B, C, or D. A. Resign from the job? No. Inform the employer and any other appropriate authority of the problem? That sounds about right. Contact the press and make it clear that it is a professional opinion? No. Comply with the manager's ruling? Definitely not. So here B makes the most sense. According to the Model Rules, Section 24.15, Rules of Professional Conduct, licensed professional engineers are obligated to. You read through these. So the first one, ensure that design documents and surveys are reviewed by a panel of licensed engineers prior to affixing a seal of approval. No, they should be reviewed by each segment should be reviewed by that certain engineer before the seal of approval. So it shouldn't be A. Express public opinions under direction of an employer or client regardless of knowledge of subject matter. That's incorrect as well. You should have prior knowledge, adequate knowledge of the subject matter before expressing your opinion. Practice by performing services only in the areas of their competence and in accordance with the current standards of technical competence. That makes sense and sounds ethical. And the last one, offer, give, or solicit services directly or indirectly in order to secure work or other valuable political considerations. No, that sounds like bribing, so that's unethical. So the correct answer here would be C. So a registered engineer is being interviewed for television on a matter relating to his expertise that affects the public safety. The interview asks a question about the chances for a cure for AIDS. The engineer should A, B, C, or D. Here, your answer could affect your credibility. the crowd or the audience could take, if they agree with you, they might have they could attribute too much credibility because you're perceived as an expert, or the public might have less confidence in your expertise on the matter of public safety if they agree with your opinion on AIDS. So you should be protecting your credibility on the matters of public safety, and that's all what you should care about. So express his opinion honestly and completely. No, decline to comment. That is most likely what's fair and ethical, and that's your obligation to society. Recount what he read in a magazine article. No, because that's not your opinion, and that was most likely an opinion. Suggest everyone get an AIDS test. No, that sounds wrong too. So here, the best thing to do is decline to comment. So just to review, when you're going through the section, you want to look for what is the safest, most ethical, and logical answer. You always want to put the public's welfare first, so you don't, and you never want to put down others while you're giving your professional opinion. And you always want to make sure that the environment you're working at is safe, and it is safe for other people.